Hello friends, welcome back to the Craft Castle. My name is Ashley and we're going to be working with our Siser craft cutting machines today. Now in a previous video I showed you how to make laser engraved pencils. The sole reason why I made these was so today I can actually make some really cute Valentine's Day cards for my kids' classroom Valentine's Day party. These right here is something that I have been doing every single year for like 6 years. I absolutely love giving out these cute little pencils with words of affirmation, and I create a cute little card. Now today we're gonna be using our Siser Juliet. However, the coolest thing about the Siser program, the Leonardo program, is that even if you do not have a Siser craft cutting machine, you can still use the program and we can export our files and you can upload them to any other craft cutting machine. That is one neat feature about their program. That being said, I'm going to be using my Juliet. If you have a Romeo, you can do the same thing. All the design that we do today will work for your Juliet or your Romeo. I'm just personally going to use my Juliet today. All right, let's get started. Okay, the very first thing you want to do is open up a blank window of Siser Leonardo. This is what it looks like. I am going to come down here into a square and I am just going to click on this square and I am just going to tap in my work area. This box right here is my work area. Now, I personally am going to be doing a print then cut on 12 by 12 cardstock. So I'm going to come over here to my artboard and I'm going to make sure that this is 12 by 12 inches. Now, if you are not going to be using 12 by 12 cardstock and you are going to be doing 8.5 by 11 or any other size, you're going to want to change these right here just to make sure it matches what you'll be printing. And I'm going to be using a cutting mat today. So this is what our screen needs to look like. For this right here, I want my square to be 3.5 inches. So I'm going to go down here into the width and I'm going to do 3.5 and then press enter. So this right here is going to be the base of my card. Now I'm going to take this little dial and I want to turn it into a white. So I'm just going to semi-white. I'm going to turn it to an actual white here in a little bit. But you see how when I click out of it, it disappears? So we want to make sure that we can still see what we're doing. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I only want to focus in on this right here. So I'm going to take this little magnifying glass and I'm going to draw a box around just my square. And you see how now we are zoomed in on that square? Makes things a lot easier, especially for me because I have really bad vision. Okay, so now I'm just going to click this arrow. I'm going to drag my box over here so we can see what we're doing. Okay, I want this Valentine's to look like a piece of notebook paper because pencils go with notebook paper. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to insert another square. So I'm just going to hover down here and insert a square. And we're just going to drop it right here. Okay, so the height of this square is going to be 3.25 inches. And then I'm going to uncheck this right here. And I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to make this really tiny. This line right here is going to be red because a traditional piece of notebook paper, the side line is red. So I'm going to take this outside dial over to like a red and I'm going to just drag this up until I find the red that I like. Okay, that looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this now rectangle and I'm going to put it over here. I'm sorry, I told you 3.25. I don't know what I was thinking. We made the height 3.5 inches. So I'm going to change this over to 3.5 inches. I want the height to be the same as my square. Okay, I'm going to select both my square and my rectangle, and I'm just going to go to align and then make sure it's aligned to where the tops are with the tops and the bottoms are with the bottoms. I don't want any overhang here. Okay, now we need those horizontal lines like what a traditional notebook paper would look like. So I'm going to click this red line and I'm just going to copy and paste. So C and V. It will look like nothing happened, but you can take this right here and we're just going to go down until it reaches the 90 degrees and let go. This right here I want to be blue. I'm going to take this outside circle and I'm going to go over to blue. And I'm going to change this over to a blue that I like. I like that color. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag this over here. Now I feel like traditional notebook paper, the blue lines are a lot thinner than the red lines. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up here. I'm just gonna click my rectangle, making sure that this right here is unchecked, and I'm just going to make this just a little bit smaller. That looks like traditional notebook paper, or what the works of a traditional notebook paper looks like. Okay, so selecting that blue line, I'm just gonna drag this down because you generally have the header of what notebook paper looks like. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste. It will look like nothing happened, but if we drag it down, there will be another line. I'm gonna select both the lines and I'm gonna copy and paste and doing the same thing. I'm just gonna drag it down. Okay, because the lines are really small and it's getting kind of hard to click on the blue lines or the white square, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna move my white square just over to the left a little bit. We'll realign it here in a second. And I'm just going to hover over, click all those four and copy and paste. And then I'll be able to like drag these lines a lot easier. Okay, so now that we have all the blue lines that we have filled in, my spacing is definitely very weird. What I'm gonna do is select all the blue lines, only the blue lines. I'm gonna come up here to arrange, and then I'm gonna go into align objects, and I'm gonna distribute vertically. Okay, do you see how now all those lines just shifted a little bit? That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, now I'm gonna press shift on my keyboard with all our lines set the way we want, and I'm just going to take and click on the white square, and I'm gonna come down here to the align, and I'm gonna align it to the center. Okay, at this point, if you wanted to, you could move this red line, and if you wanted more of a margin, you could move that around. Now, I think traditional notebook paper, the red line, I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I've used notebook paper, but I think the traditional red line for a notebook paper is above the blue lines. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down here to arrange, and I'm gonna arrange this to the front. I'm gonna bring it to the front. Do you see how now that red line is above all the blue lines? That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, just to make sure that the red line, because we did move the red line, but also that white box around, I'm gonna click on the red line, shift on the keyboard, and also that white box, and just gonna do one more check on that. Just making sure that we align that so the tops meet with the tops, the bottoms meet on the bottoms. Okay, now here's the fun part. You get to put your customization of your Valentines. So all we need to do is insert a text box. So we're gonna come down here to T and click on this T. This box is going to pop up. Okay, then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click on this box right here, and I'm gonna insert the text that I want to use. Okay, so I have filled in all the text that I'm going to want to use for my Valentine's Day card. Now what you could do is choose your font. Okay, so I'm gonna use this typewriter font. I actually think it goes really well with what we have going on. I'm gonna make sure that this right here is not welded because I wanna be able to rearrange how things look. So now I'm just gonna press apply. Okay, this right here is set to white. So what I'm gonna do is just come down here and we'll make this black. Okay, making sure that this right here is locked because we don't want to distort our font. I am just going to make this a little bit smaller so it fits onto our screen. Okay, so I want to rearrange this lettering because if we look at it like this, the lines aren't going to match up very well. So with the text selected, I am going to right click and I'm going to go to pass and ungroup pass. Click out of that. Now what I'm gonna do is selecting everything in the first line of friend, right click and press group. Doing the same thing with the second line. We're gonna click everything in the second line, right click, press group. Doing just, right click, group, right click, group, from, right click, group. Okay, so now selecting the line one, I'm just going to put this on the very top line. And I think it's going to be a little bit too big. So selecting all of the lines. So shift on my keyboard with friend selected. We're going to do all of these. I just want to make sure that all the font stays the same size, making sure that this right here is locked, and we'll just make this a little bit smaller. I'll line up that first line. There we go. Maybe a little bit smaller. Okay. Now I'm just going to put all of my lines on my piece of paper, and I'm going to leave a little room right here so my kids can sign their name. Okay, I want to make sure that all 4 of these lines are centered. So I'm going to select all the lines. So shift on my keyboard and selecting all these lines. And I'm going to come down here to the space objects and I'm going to align this to the center. Okay, if you wanted to, you could change the color of your font now. So we can click on the first line. Let's do, everyone knows I love a good rainbow. So red. Ooh, let's do friend as red. And you know what? I'm not going to be able to do a full rainbow. So what I'm going to do, I've changed my mind. I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to turn them back to black. Okay, and actually, if we do right, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, we can do a full rainbow here. So I'm just going to right click and press on group. I want to make sure that I have everything ungrouped, and I'm going to do the W in the red. So I'm changing my mind. R. Okay, I like the look of that. That's super cute, right? Okay, the next step is I need some holes in my Valentines so I can put my pencils inside of these Valentines. So what I'm gonna do is come down here to the square and I'm gonna insert a circle. So just click the circle and then tap wherever. Okay, so with this circle, I'm going to make it 0.3 inches. So I'm just gonna come down here, making sure that this is locked, and I'm gonna do 0.3 and press enter. It's okay that it's purple. We aren't gonna keep these. Okay, I'm gonna drag this over into, let's put them into the corner right here. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste. It'll look like nothing happened, but we're gonna drag this up here to the top corner. Okay, and it's super hard to see if we have them on our card. Okay, now selecting both of those purple circles. So shift on the keyboard and also that other circle. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to align it to the center, making sure that the tops are with the tops. And I'm going to right click and press group. Now I'm going to take those circles, shift on the keyboard, selecting that white square, and I'm going to align it to the center. So now we know where the pencil is going to come out at is completely center onto our tag. I'm just going to move this down just a little bit. Okay, I wanted to keep a little border so we don't break our paper. I like the look of that. So with the grouped circles, I'm going to come down here to this box right here, and I'm going to press weld. Now I'm going to press shift on my keyboard, clicking that white square. I'm going to come up here into pass and slice intersect. Okay. What you want to do now is click on your white box, and we are going to arrange this to the back. So we're going to come down here to arrange and we're going to move it to the back. Click out of that and you're going to find those circles. This right here, we don't want, so you want to delete those. So now you have, do you see that green line? That's going to be your cut lines. Okay, so now technically our Valentine is finished. Now what we need to do is change this into a print then cut file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to turn this into a print and cut job. So I'm going to select that. I want to change my paper size over to a 12 by 12. So I'm going to come over here to my printer and I'm going to choose my 12 by 12 printer and change it over to 12 by 12 cardstock and press OK. Now what I'm going to do is select everything. I'm going to press shift on my keyboard and uncheck the white box. And I'm going to come down here to print and I'm going to make sure and check print. Then what I'm going to do is selecting that white box, I'm going to change this print then cut over to cut and print. Okay, now I'm going to select everything. I'm going to right click and press group. And I want to be able to fill up this page. So I'm going to come down here to scale and I'm going to go over to the right where it says tile array. Okay, I'm going to bump my spacing down to 0.125 on both things, so 0.125, and I'm just gonna press auto fit. So the Siser is telling me that the size that I've chosen for my Valentines, I'm only gonna be able to get 6 on a page. Now, if you wanted to get more on a page, the problem with resizing our Valentines now is that those circles that we created are sized specifically for pencils. So if you wanted to make these smaller to add more to your page, then what you're going to want to do is I'm just going to press apply. Let's just say that I wanted to do a smaller card. What I would do is I would copy and paste. Let's just drag one to the side. I'm going to do my magnifying glass and zoom in on that. Okay, I'm going to right click and press ungroup. I'm going to click on our white square and I'm going to right click and I'm going to go down to pass and I'm going to break pass. So those circles that we created that we sliced through earlier, they're there now. So now at this point, what I would suggest doing is select everything but those white circles. So we're going to hover over everything else. You can readjust the size now. You want to send this to the back. So we're going to go down here and we're going to send it to the back. Now this white circle, shift on the keyboard, this white circle. Let's just change this color over so we can see what we're doing. Now you can just move this back over, repeating the same steps we did before, making sure that these two are aligned to the top, and we're going to group them. We're going to press shift on the keyboard and that white square, and we're going to align this to the center. Now clicking the purple circles, we're going to come up here into pass and then weld. Shift on the keyboard and then also that white square. We're going to do pass, slice, intersect. Clicking our white square, we're going to arrange it to the back, and then you can delete those circles. Okay, if I went too fast for you, please note that the steps that I took after I did the break apart pass are steps that we've already taken when we created the original Valentine. Okay, I am going to press this 100 button. Let's move these right here off for right now, and we're going to drag the newly sized 3-inch one. We're going to right click and press group. We'll put this on our mat. Go down here into the scale and we're going to tile array. Now we can auto fit. Now we can do 9 copies. So if you press apply, we have all 9. You definitely wanted to make sure that you did not resize the Valentine with those holes sliced in there. Smaller the holes, you're not going to be able to put your pencils in there. Too large a holes, your pencils are just going to fall right out of the Valentine. Okay, I do want the larger Valentine, so I'm going to select all 6 of those. I'm going to just drag them into my project board. Okay, I'm going to press O just to bring it down to origin. Everything for the Siser is in the bottom left. Okay, I'm just going to click this page marks and I'm just going to make this tighter around my project so I can save some space. Oh, you definitely don't want your registration marks to hit your project. It looks really good. Okay, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to press send design. I'm going to keep everything just the way it is and press send. Okay, so with the Siser Leonardo program, it definitely looks different than if you were using a Cricut. So this is going to be our print file. It looks exactly the way we want it to look. The cutting contours, this is what is going to cut. Every single box is going to cut, and also our circles. That's exactly what we wanted. We created a great Valentine's. Okay, so let's go over to print artwork. I am going to make sure that our page size is set up. It needs a 11.84 by 8.53, which is perfect because I have 12 by 12. Now, if this says 12 by 5, 12.5 by 12.5, clearly you've made your project too big. Okay, then what we want to do is just press send to printer. I am going to be using my white plain cardstock from my cardstock shop. I am going to do multiples of these. So let's just print 3 pages. I'm going to come up here and select my 12 by 12 printer. We're going to come down here to media and quality, and I want it to be photo. Come down here to paper handling. I want to make sure that I am going to be printing on 12 by 12 cardstock. I've inserted my paper inside of my printer, and now I'm just, one thing I forgot. We want to make multiple copies. So I'm going to click up here to 3 copies. Now I'm going to press print. Okay, so now with my sheets printed, remember the Siser machines go to the bottom left. So I'm going to put my paper into the bottom left of that. Now let's go and load this into our machine. Okay, so at our machine, we just want to turn it on. Okay, then all we're going to do is match up the side right here to our mat, this gray side right here. And I'm just going to suck my mat in. Okay, and before I set everything up, I want to make sure that the settings that I'm going to be using are going to work. So I am just going to come up here where my head is away from my registration marks. I'm going to go into cut settings, and I have a setting on my Siser for plain cardstock. So I'm just going to press load. and it says the speed's at 13 and force is at 70. So I am just gonna press this little t-shirt button and just press that, and it's going to do a test cut. At this point, I can move this head away and we can see whether or not the machine cut it or not, and it did. So there is this right here, and it cut really good and didn't snag or anything. Okay, so I like those settings. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move my head to where this carrot is, right here. So I'm just gonna move this head. All right. Okay, now that we have done printed this and we've set up the machine, we're gonna come down here to the cutting contours, and we are going to press send to cutter and press yes. Okay, so my margins are a little bit too far for my Siser. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna open up this little lever. Okay, I'm gonna slide this over to the far left, and we're just gonna open up the lever. Okay, I'm gonna send my head to the home, and I'm gonna drag this all the way down. There we go. Okay, going back over the computer, I'm gonna press send to cutter and press send. And now the machine was able to find all the registration marks. So although it originally said that the print and cut was too large, clearly it wasn't with just moving the mat over. The other thing I would like to note is the reason why I'm using a mat for this project is because we are making a die cut. If you are using vinyl or HTV, you would not need to do this. All right, it's finished. That was that quick. So I'm just going to press this button right here, and I'm going to feed it back out to me. Then I am just going to take this off. And these just peel right up off the mat. They cut absolutely perfect. Okay, so now I want to load in another mat. Generally, what I would suggest is having two mats so we don't have to always be waiting for the next mat to be clean. But because we only have one, let's just load in our other mat. We're gonna take this back over to the machine. We are going to load this in the same exact way as we did the first mat. So we went all the way to the left. So I'm gonna go all the way to the left here, and I'm just going to use my arrows and suck the mat back in. Okay, now that we've already done one print and cut, I don't even have to go back to the computer. I'm just gonna press this play button. And now the machine is reading the registration marks. Okay, that's done. Let's just eject. And we have our second mat. Same perfect settings. Again, I would strongly suggest just having a second mat so you could already have your machine cutting while you are working on clearing this mat. Okay, adding in this one to the bottom left. Taking this to loading it into the very far left, and we're just gonna press that play button. All right, let's just eject the mat. All right, so now let's take off our final mat that I cut. Okay, so we have sized these holes to fit these pencils. So what you can do is you can feed in one end of your pencil into the hole, and we're just gonna come over here, kind of bend the paper a little bit and slide this over. And I always like to keep these not hidden, so just like that. Didn't these turn out so stinking cute? Look at how adorable these are. I am in love. How stinking cute. All right, y'all, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you later.